Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bold and Beautiful. Today, Lee gets imprisoned after Bridget discovers that he killed Luna. Luna's true redemption story. How does Lee's love and her secret survival change everything? The true story of Luna Nozawa's redemption? Will everything alter as a result of Luna's covert survival and Lee Finnegan's love? Following Luna's imprisonment, Bill Spencer became her savior. After Luna was attacked while incarcerated and in danger of dying, her future appeared grim, but Bill gave her hope. Bill placed Luna under house arrest, eventually obtained a pardon for her, and then returned her to the streets. Luna was given the opportunity to take advantage of her freedom and change her life, but she wasted it and lost her way once more. Although Lee isn't typically a sympathetic character, she has recently shown some empathy for Luna. The main reason for this is that Lee despises Poppy Nozawa and can see how Luna might end up the way she did with her as a mother. Lee is now reflecting on the virtues she observed in Luna as a little child. Given her insistence that Luna wasn't born evil, Lee undoubtedly believes she can access that aspect of Luna. There is a reason why Luna died off-screen, despite Lee's claim that she passed away while recovering. Since Lee clearly took Luna into hiding, B&B is preparing for her next comeback tale. Lee has a history of staging deaths because of what transpired with John Finnegan, so it's obvious that she's doing it again and risking a lot for Luna in the process. Given the devastation Lee just caused at the beach house, Luna might be truly moved by her doing something so dangerous. It's incredible that Lee still feels pity for Luna and is prepared to do so much for her. Could this plotline provide Luna with the connection and love she has long desired? Will this tale with Lee be genuine, or was Luna's with Bill a redemptive fake-out? Time will tell, but if Lee is mistaken in holding Poppy responsible for all of Luna's issues, there might be terrible repercussions. It's possible that Luna is genuinely corrupt, in which case Lee will be held accountable for her crimes. Luna Nozawa's tumultuous journey, a stark narrative etched in betrayal, desperation, and squandered chances, seemed to reach its bleakest terminus within the cold confines of a prison cell, a descent orchestrated by her own chaotic actions yet undeniably shadowed by the toxic legacy of her mother, Poppy Nozawa. Her subsequent death, reported by Lee Finnegan following off-screen complications from the beach house chaos she instigated, appeared a grim full stop on a life spiraling beyond salvage. A final, tragic consequence of her relentless self-destruction. Yet, in the intricate, often morally ambiguous tapestry of lives intertwined in Los Angeles, conclusions are rarely absolute, and Luna's presumed demise, lacking the definitive weight of on-screen finality, crackled with the potent electricity of narrative possibility, whispering the tantalizing secret that Luna likely survived, whisked away by the most improbable of saviors, Lee Finnegan herself, the steely, often merciless matriarch whose history with faking deaths, as evidenced by the elaborate ruse surrounding her own son, John Finnegan, provided the perfect, dangerous blueprint for this clandestine operation. This covert survival, orchestrated not by a knight in shining armor seeking leverage or fleeting affection, but by a woman whose very nature recoils from vulnerability, becomes the fragile bedrock of Luna's most profound, albeit perilous, shot at redemption, a redemption forged not in the harsh glare of public scrutiny or conditional parole, but in the hidden crucible of Lee's unexpected, fiercely protective, and profoundly risky compassion, a compassion ignited by Lee's visceral loathing for Poppy and a flickering memory of the innocent child Luna once was, suggesting that Lee's radical intervention, driven by a complex alchemy of antipathy and empathy, and Luna's desperate grasp at this lifeline of genuine, unlooked-for care, possess the transformative potential to alter the fundamental trajectory of Luna's existence, offering not just escape from physical peril, but the elusive promise of healing the festering wounds inflicted by a lifetime devoid of authentic, unconditional love. Luna's path to this precarious juncture was paved with squandered grace. Bill Spencer's intervention, emerging as her unlikely champion during her darkest prison hour when she faced mortal danger, initially resembled a classic redemption arc. He secured her transfer to the gilded cage of house arrest and ultimately engineered a full pardon, offering her the precious oxygen of freedom and a tangible pathway to rebuild a shattered life. This act, while arguably transactional or born of Bill's characteristic desire to play puppeteer, undeniably presented Luna with a monumental opportunity, a clean slate, societal re-entry, and the chance to define herself beyond Poppy's poisonous influence and her own criminal past. Yet, tragically, Luna proved incapable of sustaining this fragile equilibrium. The siren song of old patterns, the ingrained survival instincts warped by Poppy's manipulation, and perhaps an internal void too vast to fill with conventional stability, proved overwhelming. She spectacularly squandered Bill's engineered salvation, spiraling back into chaos and culminating in the explosive confrontation at the beach house, an act of such destructive magnitude it seemingly obliterated any lingering goodwill and cemented her reputation as irredeemably volatile. Bill's version of redemption, while offering physical escape and legal absolution, ultimately proved a superficial solution, failing to address the deep-seated psychological rot festering within Luna, a rot cultivated by years of maternal neglect and toxicity. It was a pardon for her crimes, not a balm for her soul, leaving the core wounds unhealed and primed to rupture once more. Lee Finnegan's approach, however, represents a seismic shift, a dive into the treacherous depths Luna inhabits. Lee, renowned for her icy pragmatism, her formidable walls, and a distinct lack of sentimentality, particularly towards those who threaten her family or disrupt her meticulously controlled world, discovering a wellspring of compassion for the architect of the beach house disaster is nothing short of revolutionary. This unexpected empathy isn't born of sudden softness, but rather from a profound, almost reflexive hatred for Poppy Nozawa. Lee sees in Luna not just the destructive adult, but the inevitable product of Poppy's narcissism and neglect. She actively recalls glimpses of the untainted child Luna once was before Poppy's influence took hold, clinging fiercely to the conviction, articulated with surprising vehemence, that Luna wasn't born bad. This belief transforms Lee's perception. Luna becomes less a villain and more a victim deserving of rescue from the cycle her mother perpetuated. It's this potent combination of anti-Poppy sentiment and a stubborn faith in Luna's buried core of inherent goodness that compels Lee to take an astonishing, career and freedom-risking leap, faking Luna's death. Lee's expertise in orchestrating disappearances, honed during the complex saga surrounding Finn's death, provides the morbidly perfect skill set for this desperate gambit. Declaring Luna dead off-screen wasn't narrative laziness, it was a deliberate, high-stakes strategy to grant Luna the ultimate escape hatch, not just from legal repercussions, but from the suffocating expectations, judgments, and predatory influences, primarily Poppy, that have consistently pulled her back into the abyss. By spiriting Luna away into a hidden sanctuary, Lee isn't merely offering physical safety, she's attempting to create a controlled environment, a sterile field where Luna's deeply infected wounds might finally be treated without the constant rain-jury inflicted by the outside world, particularly her mother. The sheer magnitude of Lee's risk cannot be overstated. She is jeopardizing her medical license, her reputation, her freedom, and potentially her relationship with Finn and Steffi, all for a young woman who, days before, unleashed havoc on her family. That Lee is willing to shoulder this burden, to place so much on the line based on her belief in Luna's salvageable core and her hatred for Poppy's damage, speaks to a depth of commitment far beyond Bill's transactional rescue. This sacrifice, this audacious act of faith performed in the shadows, is the crucible in which Luna's real redemption must be forged. For Luna, reeling from the consequences of her own catastrophic actions and likely believing herself beyond saving or care, the revelation that Lee, of all people, engineered her survival at such immense personal cost must be earth-shattering. This isn't conditional freedom offered by a powerful man with his own agenda, this is an undeserved, profoundly sacrificial act offered by a woman who owes her nothing and has every reason to despise her. The potential impact of this realization, that she is seen, not as a pawn or a lost cause, but as someone worth immense, tangible risk based on a belief in her intrinsic worth, could be the most powerful catalyst Luna has ever encountered. The manipulative patterns learned from Poppy, the defensive cruelty, the desperate acting out, these mechanisms might finally begin to crumble under the weight of Lee's genuine, albeit tough love, investment. Could this be the unconditional connection, the unwavering support Luna has craved since childhood, finally manifesting in the most unexpected form? Could Lee's risky compassion and the safety of secrecy provide the stable ground Luna has never known, allowing her to confront her demons and rebuild from a foundation of authentic care rather than manipulation or obligation? However, the haunting question lingers. Is this redemption narrative, fueled by Lee's dangerous gamble and Luna's desperate hope, the real deal, or merely another devastating fake-out? The stakes are immeasurably higher than during the Bill Spencer interlude. Bill offered a legal reset, Lee is offering a complete identity death and rebirth, wrapped in profound personal sacrifice. Luna's previous failures stemmed from a lack of addressing her core trauma and the persistent, corrosive presence of Poppy. Lee's strategy surgically removes Poppy from the equation, at least physically, and directly addresses Luna's foundational wounds by providing the antithesis of Poppy's love, selfless, sacrificial action rooted in belief. This feels fundamentally different, possessing the gravity and depth Bill's intervention lacked. Yet, the specter of disaster looms large. Lee's entire theory hinges on the belief that Poppy is the root cause, that Luna is salvageable. What if Lee's assessment is catastrophically wrong? What if the damage inflicted by Poppy runs too deep, irreparably warping Luna's core? What if, despite Lee's belief, Luna truly is rotten to the core, fundamentally incapable of sustained goodness or genuine change? The consequences of such a miscalculation would be apocalyptic. Luna, unmoored and potentially feeling betrayed if Lee's methods proved too harsh or the isolation too crushing, could revert to destructive patterns with a vengeance, exploiting Lee's trust and access to inflict even greater harm. Lee wouldn't just face professional ruin, she could face criminal charges, the implosion of her family relationships, and the crushing realization that her immense gamble only unleashed a more dangerous, embittered version of Luna upon the world she tried to protect. Furthermore, if Luna's core corruption stems not solely from nurture but from a fundamental nature Lee refuses to see, her attempt to rewrite Luna's destiny could become a tragic folly, proving that some broken things cannot be mended, and the price of misplaced compassion is devastatingly high. Therefore, Luna Nozawa's secret survival and Lee Finnegan's perilous love represent not just a plot twist, but a profound narrative experiment testing the boundaries of redemption, the power of nurture versus nature, and the terrifying vulnerability of radical compassion. Lee, weaponizing her own history with deception to offer Luna a vanishing act, has staked everything on her belief in the girl buried beneath Poppy's damage and Luna's own destructive choices. Luna, granted an unimaginable reprieve through an act of pure, risky faith, stands at the threshold of a hidden sanctuary, a place where the cacophony of her past might finally quiet enough for a new, authentic self to emerge. The potential for transformative love and connection, the very sustenance Luna's soul has starved for, exists palpably within this fragile arrangement. Lee's actions offer the scaffolding for true redemption, safety, belief, and sacrificial care. Yet, the foundation remains perilously uncertain. Is Luna's core, beneath the layers of trauma and learned behavior, fundamentally good, waiting only for the right environment and unconditional support to flourish? Or is the rot absolute, making Lee's intervention not a rescue, but a catastrophic enabling of a destructive force? The answer lies coiled within Luna herself, in her response to this ultimate gift and terrifying responsibility. Lee's love has changed the game entirely, offering a path Bill Spencer never could, a path forged in secrecy, sacrifice, and a desperate hope for the light within the darkness. But whether this path leads Luna towards genuine redemption or plunges them both into an even deeper abyss remains the agonizing, captivating question that only time, and Luna's choices in the silent shadow of Lee's dangerous love, will reveal. This isn't just survival, it's a high-wire act over an existential chasm, where the fall could mean utter ruin, but the successful crossing could mean the redemption Luna, and perhaps Lee herself, seeking to heal a wound inflicted by Poppy vicariously, has always, desperately needed. Luna may not actually be dead. It's possible that Luna is still alive. For all the information you require, continue reading below. Many people have suggested that Luna may still be alive, that her mother Poppy may be involved in the scheme, and that her Aunt Lee may be concealing her somewhere. Luna may not actually be dead. After all, Poppy's statement that she was relieved her daughter was dead did leave many people perplexed. Fans of B&B, of course, had a lot to say about the issue. This was my thought as well, especially since Lee has a history of magically stealing dead people, beds, and equipment straight from a hospital and going completely unnoticed and taking care of them in secret, according to some commenters. Lee may be somewhere hiding Luna. Additionally, the program has a habit of rehashing the same plots, haha. Additionally, I believe she believes that by keeping Luna away, she will be benefiting Finn and Steffi and bolstering their marriage. I believe Poppy was the one who took supplies out of the closet, wrote another show viewer. Poppy and Lee will both be hiding her in some place. Regretfully, I think this absurd plot will continue to be endured by all of us. Given that a September script featuring Luna was circulated on social media, they probably have her hidden in an attempt to save her. How in the world are they going to write this one? Was another comment that was made. Lee somehow hide Luna after Bridget leaves Theor? If so, that's some fast work. Luna Nozawa's demise on the Bold and the Beautiful sent shockwaves through Genoa City, a seemingly tragic coda to a storyline fraught with accidental drug use, betrayal, and shattered relationships. Yet, almost immediately, a counter-narrative began to pulse beneath the surface, a persistent whisper growing into a resonant chorus among the show's dedicated viewers: Luna might not be dead after all. This burgeoning theory isn't born merely from wishful thinking for a beloved character's return, but rather from a meticulous dissection of narrative inconsistencies, character histories ripe for exploitation, and the show's own well-documented penchant for resurrecting the presumed deceased through labyrinthine, often medically improbable, schemes. The mounting evidence, compellingly collated from fan observations and dissected dialogue, paints a picture not of finality, but of an elaborate subterfuge masterminded by the formidable Dr. Lee Finnegan, potentially with the clandestine cooperation of her enigmatic sister, Poppy Nozawa, suggesting Luna is currently sequestered, hidden away, her death a carefully orchestrated illusion designed to serve multiple, complex agendas within the tangled web of the Forrester, Logan, Spencer, and Finnegan dynasties. The genesis of this pervasive doubt lies squarely in the jarring, almost inhuman, reaction of Luna's own mother, Poppy, to the news of her daughter's alleged death. Poppy's declaration, expressing gladness that her daughter was gone, struck a profoundly discordant note, instantly raising red flags for astute viewers. This wasn't the raw, shattered grief of a mother losing her only child, it was cold, detached, and bizarrely pragmatic. Such an unnatural response feels less like genuine emotion and far more like a calculated performance, a necessary piece of stagecraft designed to sell the narrative of Luna's permanent absence to the unsuspecting residents of Genoa City. If Poppy is indeed complicit, her motivation becomes a critical puzzle piece. Could it be overwhelming shame and fear regarding Luna's accidental MDMA intoxication and the subsequent fallout with RJ and the Forresters? Perhaps a misguided belief that Luna's disappearance would truly save her from further scandal or heartbreak? Or, more darkly, is she acting under the forceful direction of her sister, Lee, whose motivations appear even more complex and potentially manipulative? This chilling maternal reaction is the first, and perhaps most psychologically compelling, pillar supporting the theory that Luna's death was a hoax. A mother wouldn't rejoice unless she possessed the profound, secret knowledge that her child still lived. Enter Dr. Lee Finnegan, a character whose established history provides the most fertile ground, and arguably the most plausible mechanism, for faking Luna's death. Fans were quick, and incredibly astute, to point out Lee's precedent for extraordinary, ethically dubious medical interventions. This was my thought as well, noted one viewer, cutting to the heart of the matter, especially since Lee has a history of magically stealing dead people, beds, and equipment straight from a hospital and going completely unnoticed and taking care of them in secret. This is an undeniable reference to Lee's audacious actions concerning Sheila Carter. Lee didn't just believe Sheila was dead, she witnessed the aftermath, declared her deceased, and then stole her body from the hospital morgue, complete with the gurney and presumably associated equipment, to secretly nurse her back to health in a remote cabin. This wasn't a minor oversight, it was a breathtaking feat of logistical stealth and medical deception that rewrote the rules of what was possible within the show's universe. If Lee could orchestrate the disappearance of a notorious criminal declared dead by multiple authorities, spiriting away her own niece, a young woman whose death occurred under chaotic circumstances Lee herself might have been privy to or even partially orchestrated, becomes terrifyingly plausible. Lee possesses the surgical skill, the intimate knowledge of hospital protocols, and their vulnerabilities, the ruthlessness, the resources, and the proven willingness to execute such an unthinkable plan. The logistical challenge, while immense, is demonstrably within Lee's established capabilities, making Lee might be hiding Luna somewhere not just fan speculation, but a terrifyingly logical extension of her character's modus operandi. But why would Lee undertake such a drastic, dangerous action? Fan theories offer several compelling, interwoven motivations, deeply tied to Lee's core obsessions, protecting her son Finn and preserving his marriage to Steffi. Plus I think she thinks she'll be doing Finn and Steffi a favor by keeping Luna away and is helping their marriage, postulated another fan. From Lee's perspective, Luna became a nexus of chaos. Her accidental intoxication led to the betrayal of RJ, a forester, throwing Steffi's carefully managed family dynamic into turmoil. Luna's presence, and the ongoing scandal surrounding the MDMA-laced mints Poppy provided, represented a persistent threat to Finn and Steffi's hard-won stability. Luna's genuine remorse and attempts to make amends were likely irrelevant to Lee, who sees threats in stark, unforgiving terms. Eliminating Luna, not physically, but removing her permanently from the equation, could be seen by Lee as the ultimate protective measure for her son and daughter-in-law. It erases the source of the conflict, allows RJ and Steffi to potentially move on without the constant reminder, and secures Finn's place within the powerful Forrester fold. Furthermore, Lee's intense dislike for Poppy and her perceived negative influence, exemplified by the Mint scandal, adds another layer. Taking Luna away could also be a cruel punishment for Poppy, severing her connection to her daughter while simultaneously forcing her to publicly play the grieving mother, a role Poppy's unsettling reaction suggests she might be reluctantly fulfilling as part of Lee's scheme. The potential involvement of Poppy, hinted at by fans who recalled her suspiciously grabbing supplies from a hospital closet around the time of Luna's crisis. I think Poppy was the one that grabbed supplies out of the closet. Both Lee and Poppy will be hiding her somewhere, suggests coercion or a desperate pact. Poppy, terrified of Lee and potentially facing legal repercussions for the mints, might have been forced to participate, her bizarre gladness a twisted performance to sell the lie and protect herself or, paradoxically, ensure Luna's safety under Lee's harsh terms. The show's own narrative habits also fuel the fire of skepticism. And the show has a history of repeating the same storylines, lol, a fan Riley observed, highlighting a fundamental truth about soap operas. Resurrection, faked deaths, and characters hidden away are well-worn tropes. Luna vanishing under mysterious circumstances, potentially aided by a doctor with a history of such actions, feels less like groundbreaking storytelling and more like a familiar playbook being revisited. This sense of repetition makes the theory feel probable within the show's internal logic. Furthermore, the practical questions surrounding Luna's alleged death remain troublingly unanswered. The transition from Luna collapsing to her being declared dead happened with dizzying speed and minimal on-screen medical detail. How did she deteriorate so rapidly from an MDMA overdose?